Welcome, everyone, to the Inclusion Podcast. I'm Dr. Julie Costin.
And I'm Dr. Christy Preddy-Franzak. We're so glad you're here as we explore all things inclusion.
So whether you're a school leader, an educator, a parent, or simply passionate about inclusion, this podcast is for you.
In each episode, we go beyond the usual conversations, diving into what truly makes inclusive education work.
Together, let's make a difference, one conversation at a time. Here we go. Episode 59. I feel like we need a little drum roll for this one because it is so powerful. It's called Mini Moments That Matter, Building Trust Without Tons of Time. And today we're talking about how the tiniest of moments can make the biggest difference with students. And what we realized is that it's the actual tiny moments, it's not hours of conversation, that create trust in our students. So, Christy, let's jump into this big idea of mini moments that matter.
Yeah, I was just thinking about I don't know how I do this, but you say one thing and I have 8 memories, but I was like, in all my important relationships, was it the mini moments that mattered? I was like, it kind of was. It's sometimes the things you remember the most versus maybe the things that you spent hours on lesson plans about. So I also like this idea, Julie, because we were always saying relationships are so important, but there's so much pressure to cover the content. And so it's like, oh, how do I do both? Those were some of the things I was kind of thinking about.
Yeah, and just to extend that, how do I do both in a meaningful way? I think educators are constantly walking that line of, I've got to build relationships and build connection and build trust because I know that that's the only thing that matters when it comes to helping kids learn. And yet, of course, you're creating your lesson plans and covering your content and all those pieces and parts. And so we're going to show you today 23 ways to be able to do both kind of at the same time. And we're going to share with
even argue, you can do it with 20 kids, 30 kids, 35 kids, right? That's an important factor too.
That's right. Some of it you can do all at the same time. And then some of it will give you some strategies for just one-on-one when you just have a moment to connect with a kid, and we'll give you a bunch of really cool ways to think about that.
Yeah. So speaking of the 23 ideas, in case you want to follow along with us or you want to just grab it and go, you can get it at inclusiveschooling.com/download 59, and you will get all of the ideas that Julie and I are sharing in this episode.
So when we say mini moments, we're not talking about extras. We're talking about the essentials of using your time really wisely so that people, students who struggle with regulation, who've experienced trauma, who are navigating disabilities, who are neurodivergent, have a little different kind of support through your relationship. And so what makes a mini moment work? And I'm just going to give you 4 things, Christine. You can just comment because I think it's just so important that people need to know, well, what is it that makes it a mini moment? What are you even talking about? So it's brief and intentional. The goal is connection. It's emotionally safe. And the point of it says, you matter to me.
Well, I'll give you a quick example from my dance lessons as I was thinking about each of those 4. And it's actually one of our mini minutes that we talk about in Behavior 360, where you do the thumb meter check-in.
Yeah.
My dance teacher, Evan, will do this all the time. And I'll show how it meets these 4 things.
Okay.
And I would say intentional doesn't mean planned. So he said brief, but intentional, meaning anytime we learn a new pattern or we do something, he'll just be like, how are we feeling about that? And then people do a thumbs up, thumb sideways, or thumbs down. So his goal is not to do anything other than to connect and get a read. It's also optional. He doesn't check it, go, Julie, how are you feeling about this? Christy, how's yours? And you don't really have to look at anybody else's. So there's no forced disclosure. If you choose
Yes.
not to do a thumb up, down, or sideways, or you could do something else. You could make a face, you
Yeah.
could jump up and down. He doesn't invite those, but he's reading the room. So you know if you go make a face, he's probably going to see that. If you're like, smile, he'll probably see that and get to know. And then it says, oh, it matters to him that I'm feeling good enough to move on. So
Mhm.
that's, we give that example in Behavior 360. But I was
Mhm.
thinking of Evan as you walked through why they work and
Yeah.
what they are, just in a really practical way in my own life.
That's right. So, Christy, taking from Evan, a simple strategy that we offer in Behavior 360 is everybody share how you're doing, fist to 5. 0
Fist
is
to
you're
five, that's a good one.
struggling. 5 is I'm doing great. 3 is you're somewhere in between. And when Christy said not everybody has to look around, I like to do a fist to 5 very close to your chest. And so
Mhm.
I can very quickly as the teacher. So I used to do this, Christy, with 200 college students at once.
Sure.
And I would look and I could remember those people that were zeros,
Yeah.
right? I could remember because I'd be like, "Oh, it's only those 4. Got it." And I would know to check in with them. And it would let me know that everybody else was above a 3 and were feeling like, "Okay, I can keep going." Right? And
Right.
so that's kind of how you use it. And it can be silent or verbal. It could be an entry ticket, an emoji, a hand signal. It can be anything. But it allows you as the educator to scan the room and to say, every person matters here. And then to say to them, if you're a 0, don't you worry because, and you explain that what's going to happen next. If you're feeling like a 5 right now, don't you worry because, and you explain what's going to happen if you're feeling really good about this. Because it's a way to gather information so quickly. And it says you matter and it's intentional. So that's
Well, and sorry, Julie, I have to say though, what you didn't do was
Mhm.
take those 4 students who had a 0 from their
Yeah.
fist to 5 and call them out and take your teaching assistant and say, "Hey, you 4, you said you're struggling with this. You go with
Mhm.
Kate and she'll pull you over here and do some,
Mhm.
practice."
Why did you use that as a non-example?
Because I think that would be our habit is to go, "Oh, you're struggling, so I have to fix or remediate you."
Yeah. So Christy's like, you don't want to publicly separate, segregate, or sort people who are
Right.
struggling because learning is a very individual thing. And yes, it's important that you, as the educator, know that there's going to be some people that are feeling like a 0 at this moment. And you're going to have a plan about what to do, but it is not to bring them all to one table and to review the material in the same way a different time.
And you also took the other end. You said the kids that were the students, they're not kids,
Yeah.
students who were feeling a 5, you were like, "Don't you worry, here's what's coming." So you recaptured their curiosity or their anticipation or excitement because they're like, "I'm already a 5. Duh, I could teach this class, Dr. Costin." But you're like helping them see where they could elevate it. So it's like essentially you took the outside pins and started to adjust your lesson without just aiming for the middle or sorting and separating. I don't know, it was just kind of interesting.
That's right, and I think you just really, really appreciate you underscoring this concept that we don't publicly bring the
Right.
5s together, bring the zeros together, bring the 3s together. That's really important, and so these kinds of mini moments are quick check-ins, and they just are getting a sense, a temperature of the room. You can do a rose, a thorn, or a bud where you're asking everybody to think of a success, a challenge, or something exciting coming up. Those are whole class mini moments where you can gather everybody's information, and it's pretty amazing to be able to connect with students in that way. I'll use how I've used rose, thorn, and bud is I've had people jot it down on a quick sticky note on their way out the door, and then it's so fun on their way back in the door. Let's say they're in a 6th period class. On their way back in tomorrow for 6th period, you're making comments about what people are excited about that's coming up. Like, I heard you say your mom's having a baby. That's amazing. Like, da 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 da. You're just connecting in a human way quickly with people.
And speaking of connecting, we're going to shift over to the download for this episode that
Mm.
has 23 ideas that help you aim to connect. If you want more about mini moments, the link in the show notes for episode 59 will take you to Behavior 360 our on-demand PD, and we have a whole session that's actually titled The Power of Quick Check-In, Building Trust Without Tons of Time, Mini Moments That Matter. So we'll go into more detail in Behavior 360, but you can get the download for the 23 connection starters. And Julie's going to highlight a few, but you can get them at inclusiveschooling.com/download 59. And Julie, I'll let you wrap up this episode by walking through a few of your favorites. I won't limit you to just one.
Thanks. And so just a reminder, these are quick things that you can use on one-on-one check-ins as a journal or a drawing prompt when you're in an advisory circle, when you sense a student needs support but doesn't even know where to start or where to begin, or even just a reflective tool in the classroom. So just so many ways to use them. But now, Christy's invited me to share my favorite. I've noticed you blank. Tell me more. What's something you wish people understood about you today? What are you hoping tomorrow feels like? Do you want company or do you want space right now? Do you want to share something or can we just sit together? What's something small you need right now? I'm just glad you're here. Those are some, Christy. There are 23 in this handout. So please enjoy, download the handout, check them out. And we can't wait to hear from you. What happened when you started to create more mini moments in your classrooms? Let us know over at inclusiveschooling.com. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe and catch up on past episodes where we share valuable insights, straight talk, and practical steps to challenge outdated special education practices. You can find every episode with the show notes at inclusiveschooling.com/inclusion-podcast to build more inclusive schools together.